Well, it has been an emotional few years for the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. Being told to, quote, go back to your own country throughout the pandemic, the AAPI community has also seen a sharp rise in hate incidents, including verbal and physical attacks, according to data from Stop AAPI Hate and the FBI. One of the latest racist attacks was directed at New York State Senator John Liu. Take a listen.
Main menu. To listen to your messages, press 1. To send...
John, you lost my vote, you piece of shit. With the video from the park, you lost my vote, you lost my whole family's vote. You're losing thousands of votes, you oh, go to back China where you belong, you useless piece of shit.
To replay, press 1.
Another day at the office.
Another day at the office. You know, Senator Liu, he shared this video on Twitter last week. He joins me now. I saw it on Instagram. I actually reshared it. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. Just listening to it again, it infuriates me to see that hatred. It was spewed so freely. Like, he didn't think twice about calling you and saying all of these things. Tell me, you know, as a public figure, you have a thick skin. You're no stranger to hearing what people think. But this kind of racist attack, how did it hit you the first time you listened to it?
Vicky, thanks so much for bringing this up. You know, it's not the first time, and it likely won't be the last time that I face this kind of attack. In fact, in 20 years in office, I've had my share, but it's still jarring. And it's, you know, you think about this person making this kind of call against, you know, someone like me. I'm fairly well protected in a lot of different ways. So I can only imagine if he was upset at some other person, what kind of invective, if not outright violence, this person could direct at somebody else. So it's alarming for a lot of reasons. As you mentioned earlier in this report, Asian Americans have gone through 2 years of an absolute onslaught of anti-Asian hate, coincident with the coronavirus pandemic. And, you know, I've done my best to bring about government actions, whether it be more resources or holding people accountable or providing more education about the AAPI community. But it's also about encouraging people to never let these things slide, to call it out whenever it happens, and to report it as much as possible. And so I felt it was, you know, I certainly had to do what I preached.
Yeah, we talk about this. It's so important to have context and data points. And we do have some data points. Some of the FBI data that's come out has shown a threefold increase in anti-Asian crimes in America, more than 300% from 2020 to 2021. You talked about why you shared this, because you don't want to let it slide. You don't want people to think this is the norm and that it's okay. Right. What's been the reaction on Twitter, on Instagram, from your constituents? What are people saying to you?
You know, the reaction has been very, very positive and favorable. That's certainly not what I was looking for. I just wanted to make sure that people understood this was happening. And you know, there are a lot of people who understand that this is actually not all that surprising. You know, we've all been through it, whether overtly or sometimes indirectly. But what I was surprised about was a very large percentage of people who were just couldn't believe that this happened.
Yeah.
And
like they don't realize this is out there, and some people are facing it every day, whatever community, marginalized community you may be a part of. So it is important to have that dialogue. That's right.
And to let people be more aware of the kinds of attacks that Asian Americans and other people have been facing during these really tough times with a global pandemic, with economic uncertainty.
Right. Before I let you go, Senator Liu, for people who are maybe hearing about this for the first time, who want to be allies, who want to be supportive, what are some suggestions you have for folks to reach out to their friends and people in their community and say, hey, no, you know what? I stand with you. I'm not okay with all this racism.
Well, specifically on the anti-Asian hate, the hate comes from ignorance and fear, and you know, not understanding a whole lot about the AAPI community. I would say, you know, look to us a little bit more, understand that we're not the model minority or the perpetual foreigner, or even worse, the yellow peril. We are people. We are part of American history. We're part of America, and treat us accordingly, and understand that there are other people who are still ignorant and therefore direct their hate and blame us for a whole bunch of things, including economic recession and no less a global pandemic.
Senator John Liu, thank you very much for sharing that and for coming on and providing some insight. And we really, really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.